Hello, everybody. Thank you for being early. Let's just wait for a few minutes so we can have more people join us, and we will start at 2:30. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for your patience. So for today's session, we will have Eileen and Lionel to take us through the workshop. So let's welcome them, and we will start the session shortly.
Hi, everyone. Very good afternoon to you. My name is Eileen, and I'm going to be leading today's session. And with me today, I've got my partner in crime, Lionel.
Hello.
Okay, today I noticed that we have a fairly small crowd, and we're going to make this session very interactive. And I encourage everyone to share. Just feel free to either to pose your questions and questions in the Q&A chat throughout the session, and then I will stop at every point to answer them. Okay, right. Okay. So for those of you who are new to us and you may not know what we do, at IBF Careers Connect, we serve individuals who need career advice and resources. And we primarily help you to improve your job search skills, learn about job trends and the labor market, and connect with other financial professionals. And at the same time, our career coaches also help you to identify programs to enhance your employability, uncover your competency and skills. So I'm going to launch into content today. For the next hour or so, what we are going to cover is number one, what is a career summary, and the place it plays in your resume. And the second thing that we're going to cover is the purpose for even having a career summary in the first place. And we're going to wrap up this with a very short practice session on how to write a career summary. So at that point, I hope that everybody can take part. Feel free when we ask you to post your sample of your career summary in the chat, and we will do our best to provide you a critique at the same time. Yeah. So Lionel, before I move on, do you have anything to say?
Not really. I think the most important thing is, given that this is an opportunity with such a close-knit group, I think I will encourage all of you to, take this opportunity to practice what is being shared by Eileen, so that you could get an objective. And I repeat, this is a safe environment. So we're just going to help you to enhance your career summary. Because as we find, whenever we look at most of the the resume, this part has a lot of misunderstanding, I guess. And we hope that after this session, all of you have a clearer picture on how it would help you, so that you can move closer to an interview request. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you, Lionel. Right, so the first thing we're going to cover is what on earth is a career summary. On this slide, right, on the left-hand side where the red box is, I have put in a sample format of what a typical resume looks like. And to cover, to just get back to basics, remember that the purpose of your resume is not to get a job. The purpose of your resume is to progress you to the next stage of your recruitment, your job search process, which is to gain you an interview. So in other words, when we write a resume, everything that we do is aimed at helping us to eliminate obstacles and helping us move to the next stage, which is to get the person to give us a call for an interview, right? And for a summary, for those of you who may not be familiar, feel free to post your questions in the chat. I have on the left-hand side a typical format of what a resume looks like. A resume will typically have a header, which is also typically repeated on every single page. And then is followed by what we call a career summary, and followed by this section called the key skills and expertise areas. So today we're going to cover what we're going to cover today will be that highlighted red box, what actually needs to go in there for your resume to be an effective one. And then this is followed then by your job experience listed in chronological order, your education and any other things that you want to be put into your resume. Okay, Lionel, I'm going to leave it to you to let me know if there are questions. I will stop and answer them along the way, yeah? Okay, so a career summary, I have summarized what a career summary should be and should include, right? A career summary is a summary of your career experience. And as to how long or how many lines you need to write, I will leave that to later. I will address that later. The career summary needs to be an inventory of your key skills and your expertise areas. I will also cover what exactly is a key skill and what is not considered a key skill. And it should also include information that cannot be included in experience or education or others. So some of you, for example, might have done volunteer work, and you might not have you might not have included it in the rest of your resume, but your volunteer experience might be relevant to the job you're applying for. So the career summary portion is where you want to include that volunteer experience. Point number 4, important information that should be emphasized. Say, for example, you've got some skills outside of work that you typically put at the very last part of your CV. So that can include your third language skills. You might be a Japanese speaker. It can also include experience living or working in another country. So maybe you have worked in Thailand for a few years. This kind of information is typically not recorded in the CV anywhere. And even if it is always put at the back of the CV under your interests and hobbies or something like that. Or even it can be a hobby, taekwondo, for example, or a sport that you play. And sometimes there are certain jobs that you apply for where your part-time hobby or a past experience living or working in another country or a language that you speak or some special skill that you have needs to be put into the career summary because it is relevant for that particular job that you're applying for. So I hope everybody can get this. This is quite important for you. And the last point is the career objective is optional. Okay, what do we mean by a career objective? I know some of you might have had the habit of actually putting in a career objective right after the header. A career objective can sound like this: to join a fast-growing organization and contribute or value add to its bottom line. So this is what we call a career objective. In the past, career objectives were part of the advice for every career coach to include a career objective. But in current times, we are seeing that really having a career objective on your resume is quite irrelevant. It does nothing to the reader. It does not help the reader make any sense of your resume, and it does not influence the reader to make a decision in your favor. So our suggestion is that unless your career objective has something very unique, is going to hook someone to read the rest of your resume, to leave a career objective out. Because at the end of the day, remember, the person reading your resume, it can be a recruiter, it can be an employer, is only interested in what you can offer her. He or she is not going to be interested in what you want out of your career. So with that, I'm ready to move on to the next slide. Okay, Lionel, I'm just going to leave it to you to stop me at any point, yeah? Okay, the second thing we're going to cover is what is the purpose of a career summary. So the purpose of a career summary does have a purpose for both the reader as well as for yourself. And for the reader, what is important, why you want to put a career summary for the reader is this. Typically, for those of you who are familiar, I mean, if you have attended other resume writing workshops before, you would recall that a person spends no more than 6 seconds reading your resume on average, right? So therefore, having a career summary allows this reader to do all these things that I put on the screen here without having to read your entire resume. So bear in mind the purpose of your career summary, everything has to hook the reader on to make that decision to give you a call. So you want in your career summary, the person to understand who you are as a person. And when I say persona, I'm talking about by the end of that paragraph, your career summary, that person has to have a clear mental picture of who you are as a person. You might be a risk management specialist, you might be a trader or anything like that. So that person has to be able to form an image of your professional persona. And that person also needs to be able to understand your key skill sets without having to read through the remaining 2 or even 5 pages of your CV, if your CV is that long. And most importantly, the reader has to decide to call you within the first 6 seconds of reading your resume. So first, if that person can finish reading your summary within 2 seconds, great. And that summary needs to then entice this person to finish reading the rest of it within 6 seconds. And if not, if your summary is engaging enough to let a person read through the entire portion for 6 seconds and decide to call you, all the better. Okay? Okay, do we have any questions at this point? If not, I'm going to move on.
I think you were very clear. Oh, just when we speak, someone had a question. What if we have multiple personas?
Okay, so if you have multiple personas, right? I'm assuming your name is Wing Ling, right? Wing Long or okay. If you have multiple personas, this is what we suggest. Have a master toolkit of different career summaries and use a different persona for every one of for a different job application. And if there are different if there are different personas that you want to present within the same job application, then make it to a maximum of 2 or 3, which means that, for example, you are a trader with a background in data analytics, for example. So that's an example of a 2 different personas already. I hope this is clear, and if not, let me know and I'll try my best to answer further. Okay.
Yeah. I just want to add before Eileen continue is, if you do want to add various personas, make sure that they are related, yes, so that it builds a stronger foundation for yourself, right? So of course, again, this is just a guideline. You may sometimes, depending on the job you apply for, they may seek someone that is from 2 ends of this, and then that will give you an opportunity if you are that kind of person. I mean, it's just throwing out there could be a fun-loving compliance person. You know what I mean? So again, everything is to what the job description says, what the company wants. Then if you are really that kind of a person, yes, by all means, you can add 2 or 3 persona.
Yes. Thanks, Lionel. I like that. So that kind of persona is important because remember, you're trying to entice the reader to give you a call. So you might find that I'm repeating this a lot, and there is a purpose, because I'm hoping that by the end of this session, right, all that repetition will get into your hearts that, you know, this is the purpose of a career summary. And for those of you who might also be, you know, coming out from either those of you who might be coming out from a career break and looking to rejoin the workforce, right? What was happening during that break should not be your persona, right? I'm talking about if you were a stay-home mom, you do not want to say in your career summary that you are a stay-home mom looking to re-enter the workforce. That might be true, but in a career summary, it is not going to entice an employer. So I hope everyone gets what I'm saying here, that whatever you were doing during the break is not your persona. Okay?
Okay, just to avoid repeated questions, the recording of this will be put up on our YouTube channel. So for those of you who's going to ask, are we going to share the slides and things like that? Usually after every session, give us about a week or 2, and you'll be uploaded into our YouTube channel, IBF YouTube channel. So that's to answer Simone, I think how I didn't mispronounce your name. Simone's question. Yeah.
Thank you. Right, and secondly, the purpose of your career summary, besides serving the needs of the person who is reading your career summary, it also allows you, the creator of that summary, to do a few things. If you have a well-written career summary, it provides a very, very good base for you to answer that first question during the interview. Tell me more about yourself. We have covered in some of our other sessions before how to create a simple elevator pitch for yourself. And so this a well-written career summary can help you to answer that question with a lot of ease. And it will also help you to clarify your own career identity, which means that for those of you who have switched jobs a few times throughout your career, a well-written summary will help you to string together the different parts of your career for yourself, for your own clarity about where you're headed, and also helps you to make conversation during networking events when you need to make sense to people about where you have been in your career. So I'm going to give you an example. For me, my calling is to teach and to train and coaching. You know, so when I actually did my own career summary, I came to realize that when I was young, I gave tuition, and then later on I became a teacher in a secondary school, and then later on when when I was in the workforce, I became an adult trainer, and even in my spare time when I used to teach rollerblading as a hobby. So, you know, that helped. I mean, that is one of my personas, and it helps me when I meet people for the first time to be able to articulate myself. So I'm hoping that this example will help all of you identify for yourself, okay, what is my career identity, what is my persona, and what is it I want people to know about me. So that's one thing. And very lastly, your career summary, if you put the effort into writing a good one, will help you to inventorize your own set of skills, competencies, and expertise areas. Okay, and there are a few ways that you can use your career summary. So the first thing is, of course, in this session, we are going to talk about how do you write your career summary inside your resume itself. And then I just mentioned as well that when you have a clearly written career summary, you can use it as an elevator pitch. And once you have done that, you can easily then copy and paste, not all, but most of your career summary into your LinkedIn introduction. So as you can see, the career summary is quite a key part of yourself. And so I want you to see your career summary as yourself, your identity, your persona, and you express it through the resume, through an interview, through your elevator pitch, and through your LinkedIn profile. Okay. Okay, I'm going to move on. Yes, and oh, okay. So we've covered the content, most of what we wanted to cover in this session here. And I'm going to pause here a while to see, okay, we don't have any questions. I'm going to move on how do you write a career summary. And at this point, guys, I have prepared just a very, very simple template. And for those of you who have come here hoping to get something out, I ask for your participation in this. I invite all of you to actually post your, if I'm not wrong, you can post your career summary as anonymous person. Once I have done the next segment, I invite everyone to, feel free to post your career summary for us, and we can just do a critique on the spot. And we promise it will be constructive. There's no negativity allowed in this room. Okay, how to write a career summary. Simply put, a career summary should be anywhere between 3 to 5 lines. Okay, why 3 to 5 lines is for readability. And even if you need to go beyond 5 lines to 7 lines, I think that is still acceptable, but a lot will depend on what you actually put inside that career summary. I will explain more on that later. And under your key skills and expertise areas, I suggest no more than 15 skill areas. And even with 15 different skill areas, you would have already used up 3 columns in an invisible table. And with the 3 columns, each column would already have 5 skill areas. So, and I'm going to give example. And the career summary, by the time you have included your header and the career summary and your key skill areas, it should be no more than half of the first page. Yes, okay, that we have a question here. Are skill areas mandatory? Well, they are not mandatory. And remember the purpose of having a skill area. It is really to help the reader identify what are the key areas of expertise that you offer to the employer without having to read through your entire CV. So, when we write a CV, right, a lot of people suffer from what we call the curse of the expert, which means that you are an expert in your own area of expertise, right? You are a specialist in compliance, you're a specialist in risk or whatever it is. So when you write your experience section, you assume that whoever is reading your resume will understand the complexity of your job, will understand how much work you put in every day, or will understand instinctively your leadership capability. But in our experience, people who are reading the resumes rarely get to understand the true scope unless it is another compliance specialist reading a compliance resume. And the reason we ask you to put your skill areas is to make your resume readable to the first person who is reading your resume. So that first person or thing that is reading your resume can be a ATS, the applicant tracking system. It can be an HR executive who has no expertise in your area. So that person, when he or she reads your job description, reads your experience, this person is not going to be able to understand exactly what is the complexity of your job. And you can also see that, for example, yes, you're right, the skill areas, they have to be customized based on the persona. However, the skill areas allow you to be a lot more versatile, which means that you can put in a lot more skills that are not immediately relevant to that persona. So what I'm saying is, for example, you may be in accounts, you're an accountant or a finance manager, but over the years you have picked up a bunch of programming skills and you can do good data stuff. So then in your skill area, you can put in stuff like Python, SQL, Tableau. All these things typically would go at the back of your CV, but if you put them up front and you're going for a finance job that is heavily data related, this will help you to get through that first interview.
I mean, just to add on, it's not mandatory, but it's recommended, especially as what Eileen pointed out. If you have picked up certain things that are more technical in nature, or what we call hard tech, this is the place for you to put so that they can see. So, and then the second thing that I just want to add is make sure that if you put your skills, make sure you group them in their relatability. Meaning, if you want to say you have good communication skills, you may want to put, oh, I'm good in influencing, I'm good in negotiating, I'm good in presentation. So, you know, if you group your skills in relevant, it's easier for them to pick up. So that when they read, if you want to put 15 skills, at least if you group them properly in their relevancy, when the person reading it, it's help them easier to see who you are instead of just randomly putting all your skills. So put some effort in the thoughts if you want to put a skills area, so that imagine the person reading it, they will understand where you're coming from. So if you are good, let's say with using your hands in certain things, you group those together. Group those that you are good in verbal things and put them together. So it creates a better picture so that people can remember better.
And thanks, Lionel, for adding that for me, because you just brought up another point. So before we move on, right, I want to say a little bit more. Okay, so I've on this slide, right, you can see I have given one simple example. So for example, if you are an operations person, there are a lot of skill areas that you may not think they are skill areas, but they are actually skill areas. So in this case, an operations person will almost always have shift management skills, rostering skills, scheduling skills, and a person who is doing operations will almost always have team leadership skills. And there will be others. So another example is that if you are in customer service, you do not put there customer service. You want to put in all your sub skills such as complaint management, dispute resolution, or case management or documentation. So in this second bullet, I'm hoping that, you know, everyone who is listening to us right now, you can understand that, okay, under your own skill area, there is sub skills that you need to identify for the sake of for yourself, to understand that actually you have a lot of experience, and also for the person reading, so that the person reading knows that, okay, this person actually does this thing. And now there is also another thing I wanted to bring up, which is related to what Lionel just mentioned, right? When we say skill areas, we try our best to put in tangible skill areas rather than what we call very vague skill areas. So for example, a skill area that is very vague would be the word communications.
Yeah.
Okay. So we often see people put their skill area as communications. This point is quite irrelevant because first, communication skill is something that is a given for everyone who is in the job market. And then secondly, it is also something that you cannot quantify. And what if what you're trying to put across is that you are bilingual, then you can write something like bilingual, then Chinese, Mandarin, English, or whatever. Right? And another example of communications is, for example, public speaking. So that is the word public speaking is a skill, but the word communication is not a skill. Yeah. And same for influencing skills and negotiation skills. They are part of your experience, but when you put it in the skill area, it does not help you. So I hope everybody got this. Okay, we have a quiet crowd today. Okay, if you are ready, I've said a bit about what constitutes a skill area, what constitutes non-skill areas, and there are also other glaring things that we often see people write. For example, I've seen people write that they are result-oriented, they are passionate, or they are driven, or stuff like that.
Proven track record.
Yeah, a track record. That is not a skill area, so I don't advise putting that in. And also, for those of you who have already gotten your own career summary, here's another common mistake that I'm seeing people put. Very often in your career summary, you will identify yourself as I am a so-and-so specialist, right? then a lot of you will no doubt have done things like, I'll write that I'm passionate, I'm detail-oriented, I am result-oriented. And before you know it, you already have 5 or 6 adjectives in that very first sentence preceding your actual persona, which is a risk management specialist. So there's a reason we caution against this, because it makes it very, very difficult for the person reading to get through that first paragraph without stopping 5 times to understand what each of your adjectives mean. And writing things like responsible or having a sense of integrity is also not necessary in a resume, because first, you cannot prove it, and secondly, you're wasting precious space on your resume putting in terms like that. Okay.
Eileen, you have a question from Ruth, because you did mention that negotiating and influencing. So how would you write it in such a way that the recruiter will pick it up?
Okay, thank you. Is that Ruth? Yeah, thank you for your question. So in negotiating and influencing skills, right, I always suggest that you have a context. For example, if you are let me see, I just had negotiating. Maybe you have got experience negotiating multi-million-dollar deals, and you've been a successful negotiator for whatever, then you can put that context into negotiating or influencing within to say that you are negotiator with track record of closing X amount of deals or whatever. Or another extreme example is you are a skilled terrorist negotiator. There is a book, by the way, written by someone who's like that. Yeah. So I hope that answered your question, and I'm going to go to the next part where, again, I'm inviting everyone to participate as much as you can. Okay, so the basic format is a format. This is not, for those of you who have followed us for quite some time. Okay, Karine, hey, before I move on to this, I'm going to answer Karine, right? Okay, may I know what would be a better word to replace words like detail-oriented, proven track record? Okay, detail-oriented is fairly easy to provide. And I say this to all the people who are in accounts, who are in compliance, who are in risk. The way you write your resume will already tell a lot about your personality, that you are detail-oriented. So you do not actually have to put there that you are detail-oriented, because if you have seen enough resumes, in our experience, we've seen a lot of resumes. The people who are in finance, typically their resumes are chock full of data, chock full of information, and they are typically people who are very conscious about formatting, no grammar errors and all that. All these will actually come through your resume. And then your proven track record will come in the experience section.
Tell them what is your proven track record. Don't just put there as proven track record. So if you have sales, if you improve your sales every year, just put down there, improve my sales every year. That's your track record, right? If you save the company money, just say I saved the company money, X amount of money. That's your track record. You don't leave it there. This is my track record. But if I'm reading it, I would not know what you're talking about, because in your head you know, but on the paper, it's not shown. You don't know. Just tell them what is that track record you're talking about.
And if you are detail-oriented, right, you can also say things. I mean, if you've gone through whatever your job scope is, if you are detail-oriented, there are ways to prove it. Like you don't make mistakes. I mean, zero mistake or zero error findings over how many reports in 6 months or something like that. So there is always a way to tangibilize your achievement as a detail-oriented professional.
Yeah, or you can say, like, for those people who's in accounting, auditors always pass my books. That shows that you're detail-oriented. You don't even need to say it.
Yeah, or how many successful audits over the last 10 years or so on.
Correct, exactly.
Yeah, zero error rate or And then, okay, so I hope that answered your question, and we are going to just go into the basic format. And as I said, this is a very basic format that we hope those of you who are new to the career summary can use. And those of you who are more advanced, I welcome your questions, and I hope that you can just participate with all your questions. Oh, okay. Okay, I'm going to answer your question later. Yeah. I'm just going to explain this so that everybody can understand, and then we can move on to the questions. Yeah. So your basic format in your career summary needs to start off with who you are. So identify yourself with a vocation. And those of you who have changed vocation over the years, identify yourself by the one that you want to sell at the current moment, and you can list the rest in that same sentence. Say, I may be a career coach with X years experience with a background in learning and development, then X years and so on. So that's who I am. And so as I'm speaking now, I'm hoping that whoever's listening, you can take some time to write down a list of your vocations. Might be just one, might be two or three. Just write them down now. And point number 2, what I do. So what I do is described by your areas of specialization. If you are in if you're in trade finance, you might be specializing in aviation finance, right? And so that's your area of specialization. And for example, if by geography, what I mean is you might have done work in different continents. That's one thing. Or if you've worked in a multinational corporation, you would have what we call cross-cultural experience. Now that is an important experience for multinationals that are hiring for culturally diverse and all that. So cross-cultural experience can be a skill in itself, and that goes into your career summary as well. Types of companies you work for, by that I mean you might have worked for small to medium enterprises, you might have worked for public sector agencies, and you might have worked for non-government organizations. So that's type of companies you work for. And in terms of, any Lionel, feel free to give me any other examples. I don't have comprehensive ones. And any other descriptors. So I'm going to share my own example after this. Then I hope that this will give everybody a clearer idea. So, and what value I provide, which means that I want to identify myself in terms of the customers that I serve, whether it is internal customers in the organization or external, and the problems I solve. It could be that I am a fraud investigator. It could also be that I am helping people save money, and I can be helping people close sales and the savings that I create. So the key thing is that whatever your role is, there will be a value that you provide, and it's important for you to identify this. So in my case, my example might be, I'm a trainer, and what do I do? I mean, I have identified myself as a vocation, and what do? I conduct soft skills training or leadership training. So that's area of specialization. And my geography for global audiences. And then the types of companies and I have conducted training for people in public sector agencies. I have conducted training for small to medium enterprises, as well as multinational companies, as well as non-profit companies, any other descriptors. And then the people on to point 3 would be, the kind of training I provide is in the area of soft skills, and I provide senior to middle leadership training, for example. So this is an example of who I serve. Right, and the problems I solve can be anything that I choose for that particular job application. So it can be, I help people to solve their staff retention problems. So I'm hoping that's an example that everybody can take away from. And I'm going to pause a while here to answer. Wait, I thought there was a question here.
Yes, there's a question on whether the skills area can be substituted by a list of key achievements.
Okay, I wouldn't say it can be substituted, but I'd like to add that the list of key achievements can be a useful part of your career summary. So your summary can be, a very short 1 to 2 lines about your persona, right? Then you might not want to have a key skill summary, but you should at least mention 2 or 3 skills that you want to be known for. So I am guessing that your job nature is such that it's very clear cut, so you don't feel that there's a need to put a skill summary. That might be possible, but I'm still encouraging you to at least identify sub skills for your area, whatever that looks like. And again, the sub skill is for the reader who is not an expert in your area to be able to advance you to the next level in the interview. And then after that, after the key skill areas, even if you have only 2 or 3 sub skills, that's fine. And then you have a list of, I would say, anything from a list of 3 to 7 achievements within that. And that should take you nicely to about half or 2/3 of the first page. So I hope this is clear.
Yeah, and the achievement, try to be relevant to the role that you're applying for. So if the role that you're doing is backroom staff, you hardly talk to anybody, a winner in a storytelling contest may not be a good achievement. That's what I'm trying. I mean, using an extreme example. So if you want to list your achievement, make sure that is the person that reads it understand that this achievement is very relevant to the role that you're going to play, right? If not, then you might just confuse them by putting your achievement. If not, you want to put that achievement, put it where that achievement was achieved, right? In the experience part, you could do that too. So yeah, that's what I want to. So we give some thought. What I'm trying to say is, give some thought process before you decide to put things there, because it needs to have a flow because you are introducing yourself to the hiring manager in half a page or so. And if you're going to put a lot of things that may distract the attention, then it's not going to help you, right? So that's why if you want to put more things, you're going to put achievement, go ahead. Make sure that the achievement is something that they could identify with. Is that, wow, okay, this person helped to keep within budget in certain projects, and this is what he's supposed to do for me. So that kind of achievement will be something that is worth mentioning it right in the front.
And at this point, some of you might also be wondering, if I put an achievement right in the summary portion, do I repeat it in the job, the experience section where, the actual achievement was done? I think you should. And remember, the purpose of you repeating that achievement is right so that the person, whoever doesn't want to read beyond that first half page, can make that decision to call you. And I would say that that achievement statement needs to be very, very clear and very short, without using acronyms. And then whatever expansion or details that you need in the actual experience itself can be shown later within that job experience. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Actually, you're referring to the key achievement for each separate persona, right? Okay, so what you're saying is that in a career summary, assuming you have 2 personas, and then what you're saying now is that if you want to list instead of having a key skill, you want to list a key achievement for each separate persona. So again, remember, your overriding objective is that this has to meet the needs of the actual job description. So if that job description allows for 2 or more key personas, it is fine to then have a key achievement for each persona within that same paragraph. But otherwise, be very careful that you do not dilute your main persona, by adding in key achievements for a secondary persona.
Okay, we have 2 questions in the Q&A box. One by Verlin, who asked a very popular question: how many pages should my resume be?
Okay, thank you for that. I'm going to answer them so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a very simple example that I've prepared, and then I'll answer the question so that the rest of the audience who, while listening to me answer that question, right, can start crafting your simple career summary if you haven't already done. So this is the basic example that we have here. Number one, identify myself by a persona, right? Identifying, for example, I am a credit specialist with X years experience. And so this is where I put in little details. I have got 10 years experience in loan restructuring and so on and so forth. So that's the first part. And in this case, right, the X years is important for you. When those of you who are applying for jobs, the putting in the years of experience is important. And then number two, what do I do? The areas of specialization and so on. So if I'm a credit specialist with X years, 10 years of experience in loan restructuring, then I want to say that I have done this primarily in European banks, specializing in commodities, for example. And then the third area is I have been serving bank customers who have commodity firms who are primarily headquartered in APAC. So that's one example. And I'm going to pause here for a while to answer the questions that we have in our Q&A. And those of you who are listening, either you listen to us talk about the answers to the questions, or you can, you spend some time to actually write down a very simple form of your own career summary.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so wait.
The second question is by someone who wants to know, making a career switch, should I write it there in the career summary? If the answer is yes, how do I include it in the career summary?
Okay, got it. So wait, have we answered the question about the pages of resume?
No.
Okay, so for Berlin, right, the pages of a resume is ideally, your resume should be between 1 to 3 pages in Asia. If you're applying for American firms, I think a maximum of 2 pages is advisable. And within Asia itself, 1 to 3 pages is the norm. Under extreme circumstances, if you still want to write a 5-page resume, I think that's a bit extreme, but generally, we have seen people still get interviews with 5-page resumes, but the general norm is between 1 to 3 pages. Okay, and keep your questions coming. And if the applicant is making a career switch, how can that be included in the career summary? So this career summary is a good place, and for you to link what you have done in your career in the past to the current career. I am going to assume that you are not making a complete switch in which you have 0 transferable skills from the previous career into the current one. Okay, because that's a different ballgame altogether. You're literally starting from scratch. But if you're not, you want to use your career summary to say that you are a certain specialist with how many years of experience in this area. And then say that the role that you actually want to apply for. And this is where, this is about the only time when we say that, you want to say something like this. You want to enter into this particular industry, and you bring with you these years of experience in so and so other industries which are relevant for this role. And typically, right, by the way, this should not be coming in through a career summary. It should go into a cover letter. And your cover letter need not be very long. It is a maximum or maybe just half an A4 page maximum. And anything that can be read within one email screen, one laptop screen is actually long enough for a cover letter. So I'm hoping that answers your question. If it doesn't, let me know and then we can try. And I'm going to post that question to Lionel. Do you have any other comments?
As I said, I would rather see it in the cover letter, but you could still put it in the career summary if you can spin the story about how your previous role can help your current role, right? So basically, you could be someone that is in let's say an engineering background. Okay, no, I'll use, for example, you could be working in crime, right? You are, and then you want to now switch to compliance, which, by the way, compliance with compliance with usually like people that have background in that kind of thing. So you may say that because of your previous experience in regulatory control and things like that, which is what compliance is all about, and that will help you. And you realize that your interest has always been this, And so it's a natural switch to this new role. Then you may want to mention in the career summary, right? But as what Eileen said, I would say that the covers letter would be a better place to put it, right? But as I said, it's always the thought process. When you want to write something in the resume or cover letter or anything that you want to even say during interview, you must really think about what you're trying to portray, like what you say, the persona that you're trying to portray. And if it's going to help you, yes, then by all means put it there. But if you have doubt, then don't put it there, because you will be we can't be with you. You'll be the one that's going to face the interviewer. So you have to be comfortable in how you're going to present this to them, right? So that's why is if you ask any one of us, can I have a template? Our answer will be no, because you need to be there to be able to be comfortable and able to express, to describe who you are all about. Basically, you're trying to explain to someone who doesn't know you who you are, what are you all about. And if you're going to use somebody else's example, like a template, it's not going to come out authentic, it's not going to come out real. Which is why those of you who have seen any one of us, when you ask for a template, our answer usually will be a no. No templates.
Yeah. And also, right, I want to share an example of one of our other candidates. This lady came to us because she was very confused. She had been to other places and she was always advised to write a resume, and she was given templates and stuff like that. But after talking to one of our coaches, this lady discovered that actually she was in the market as an independent consultant offering her services. So in that scenario, what she was happy to walk away with was not a resume, but a portfolio and a brochure about what she offers. So, and I'm trying to bring across and reinforce the point that Lionel has said, that each of you is very different. A lot of you will be a lot more creative than any of our coaches all added together, and you are able to write a better resume than we can for you. So, and okay, so I've got a comment from someone in the chat box. You've come across 10 pages with English and Mandarin. So again, it all depends on the context. In a resume with more than 10 pages, you're not likely to get the first 2 pages read unless all the pages are full of your certifications or something that is required in your job. Okay, and this brings me to an unrelated point. Those of you who have attended a lot of courses, right, it is also not necessary for you to list 30 courses you have attended in 1 year in your CV, unless there is something that you're trying to prove within those courses. So that said, I am going to answer the question that we have now, which is, we are told not to include our birth date and age in the CV, fearing the hirer will be biased on this point. Yes, that is something that's happening in the market now. And do we write down the number of years of experience working we have? What is the rationale? Okay, here's where I'm hoping that everybody can pay a bit more attention and take away the principle that we are trying to impart. So the first principle that I want everyone to remember is that everything in your resume can and will be used against you. So you want to avoid putting anything in it that will cause you to be eliminated. So for example, we are talking about even things like address. You don't put your personal address, because if you live in the Eastern Singapore, you're applying for a job in Western Singapore, you do not want an address that will turn the hirer off from even calling you up, making unfair assumptions about you. So that address is one thing. Secondly, you want to avoid putting in stuff that will further discriminate you. So for example, just now we mentioned about the persona of, say, being a stay-home mom. So that's another example. And a key thing that is very big in our Singapore market is the issue of age, right? So yes, please do not put your age and all that within your CV. And as to how many years of working experience you have that will, that you want to put in your CV, a lot has that I know that there is a lot of advice on the market to say that you do not put beyond the last 15 years of experience. So I do have a different take on that. And I encourage you to take what we have and think about it and come to a position on your own. So the general advice of 10 to 15 years is, I would say, apply it only to your own context. So for example, if you are applying to a very senior level position, a VP onwards, SVP or whatever CEO position, where years of experience and what you do in that is very important, then you want to have as many years as possible on your CV because you're applying for a senior position. And similarly, those of you, by the same token, those of you who have a certain number of years of experience, you might have 20 years experience as SVP, but at this stage in your career, you only want a junior position, then you have to make it very clear, and you do not want to overemphasize all these things on your CV. So this is the time when you want to limit your experience to the last 15 years, and the rest of the experience that you have on your CV, collapse them into one very, very short paragraph to say this time to this time. I know there will be some of you who feel uncomfortable and you feel like you're lying if you do any form of omission. So those of you who are comfortable with omitting, do so knowing that you are doing this to avoid being eliminated as a mature candidate. Secondly, those of you who are concerned that you feel like you're lying, then you collapse the earlier than 15 years of experience into a very short paragraph listing the years and just giving one line to describe the companies you worked for in the past.
Yeah, if for those of you who has many years experience, yeah, I mean, I'm inclined to say that if you are comfortable, because even for myself, I will put down, if you have a look at my resume, which I would have put down there as early career progression. So what I'll put in that header will be my first few years while working. I just put down the position, the company, and from where to where. That's it. I don't even put down what I do. If they want to know, they could ask me during the interview, but because to most hiring manager is, most probably not relevant. And to add a little bit about the putting number of years experience, sometimes you want to put it there because you want to beat the ATS. Because sometimes the ATS did put down there, I need someone with 5 years of experience. And so they have programmed the robot or to scan anything. If you don't mention that, it's not, you will be just a so-called chuck aside. So your resume don't even get a chance to see the light of day of you with a human eyes. So you read carefully. Something in the job description, they did mention, must have 5 years experience in whatever. That's where you need to put the 5 years experience in whatever, so that when they go through the applicant tracking system, your resume will not be discarded because you did not put it there.
Thanks, Lionel. The other thing I wanted to add, right, now that we're talking about this number of years of experience, so you notice that in this slide, I've got credit specialist with 10 years experience. I also want to highlight that for those of you who are consciously applying for roles that are smaller than what you're qualified for, if the job ad is asking for 3 years, at least 3 years experience, please do not go and put that you have 30 years experience in that particular field. You are going to get eliminated almost right away. Yep. And so in that case, what do you put, right? So you may want to put you have more than 5 years experience in this particular field, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and we still have, do we have, okay.
It's not up to us.
Okay, for this person, right, whatever burning question that you have, you can actually ask it here. We'll try our best to help you answer it so that you can get enough to work on. Oh, okay.
Make an appointment to see us.
Okay. So okay,
seriously,
for the benefit.
If you came in late and you find this helpful, at the end of the presentation, Eileen will put a QR code or email address. Then you could make an appointment to come and see one of our talented crew of career advisors.
Okay, is that, wow, wait, is there a different way to write a career summary if I'm applying for? Yes, I'm going to take some time. And before I answer, I'm assuming your name is Wing Long, right? Okay, I'm gonna show one more slide before I answer that question. Okay, so key skill and expertise areas, right? These are some just guidelines for you. Use keywords that describe specific skills. So I've mentioned this before. They need to be specific keywords that help you in your job application. Now, some of you might question, why do I want to put stuff like Microsoft Office in? Now, remember, this is just an example, and your key skill area has to be relevant to your own context. So for example, if you're a personal assistant and it is important for you to showcase that you have got Microsoft Office skills, because that is relevant to the job. But if you're a database administrator, that may not be relevant. So even though you know Microsoft Office, you're not going to need to put it into your key skill areas. Okay? And then avoid generic terms that are not skills. So for example, teamwork is really not a skill. And I know many of you might put it into your CV somewhere that you're a team player. Really, this is not something that you need to put in, because by default, so first off, by default, everybody should be a team player, right? And there's really no need to put down that you're a team player within your CV. Okay, and avoid unnecessary adjectives. So we've mentioned this just now, that avoid using all these cliched words that do nothing to help your resume. So even if you are detail-oriented, you're a self-starter, you're passionate, you're results-driven, or or something like that, right? Do not put adjectives in that will slow down the reading speed
Yes.
of that person reading. So this is the case why we discourage people from putting these adjectives in, and use this section to expand on your expertise areas. So we mentioned just now about operations management, and then we are talking about customer service, which I mentioned just now as well. And lastly, the last bullet point, include items that may be at the bottom of your resume, but is relevant for the current job. So we're talking about things like Japanese speaker, volunteer experience, mission trip, and so on and so forth. Familiarity with geographies and cultures. So things like cross-functional. Okay. So I think that, let me see. I'm ready to continue answering the question now. Where was the question?
Which question was it?
Okay, I think it's Wing Long's question. Is there to the host and panelists? So there's a question that came in. Is there a different way to write a career summary if you are applying for a part-time opportunity in training or lecturing as you are involved in running? There isn't. So in your case, right, you are applying for a part-time opportunity. So when you're running your fintech, no, there isn't a different way. In your case, you just want to be able to make a very clear pitch for why you want to apply for a part-time role in training or lecturing. And which, in the first place, if you're applying for, if you're going to be training and lecturing, right, you would have already got evidence from the rest of your work experience that qualifies you to train or teach in that area, without overemphasizing that you are running a fintech. So that's my suggestion. Okay, I think I am done. We are in good time. So if Lionel, do you have anything else to add?
No, we have about, I think, 20 minutes more for people to write down their career summary, so that we could, help you to improve. So, we encourage you to do it strongly, so that you can get ways to improve it.
Yep, and those of you who are here, who have been listening to us talk for the last 1 hour or so, I do invite you to use this chance to post anonymously your career summary, whatever that looks like, so that we can go through it for you, and you can walk away with something tangible through this session.
Perhaps we can also do the poll now. For those of you who are still here, we're gonna put up a poll for you. Hope that all of you could participate, because this is through this poll that we can decide what are the other workshops that we can plan down the pipeline, so that we know what is it that is burning in your head, so that we can address it through this channel. Yeah. So Alisa, could you put up the poll? So for those of you who are here, we appreciate it if you could do this poll for us. And also, yes, if you feel that you want to see us later on, as we said, Eileen will post the email address and also the QR code, so you can make an appointment to see any one of our coaches here to work on your career summary or any areas of your job search that you feel that you need help in. Because I can understand sometimes to ask you to write something on the spot now could be hard, but we don't want you to. The reason we want you to write it so that at least you don't go back feeling. At least you go back with some certain things to bring back, right? So even if you look at the Q&A, there's someone who types something there.
Okay, thank you for the question. And those of you who are still thinking, right, welcome you to post more questions. Okay, I'm going to read it for the okay, not going to say
don't
your
say
name.
My name. Yeah.
Okay, thank you guys. I'm making a career switch to become a data analyst. In past experience in public, okay. Former public with extensive experience in diligent and meticulous data analyst, okay. Okay, I'm going to have a few comments, and I hope this will be useful to you. Your past experience is in diligent and meticulous data analyst with good knowledge of power. If you are, okay, suggestion, yeah. If you are planning, I'm not sure whether you're already a data analyst or you are planning to be, but my suggestion is to go onto GitHub or Kaggle to use, get involved in the community, the forums in there, and then to use the practice data sets to gain some experience for yourself, so that you can somehow put it into your CV. So when you say that you've got a good knowledge of MS Excel, you want to write down the specific functions of Microsoft Excel that you know that are important in data analytics, like for example, pivot tables. SQL, Python, Power BI is good. Gain through rigorous coursework and academic projects. Okay, you want to avoid, in this case, your particular summary, it has, what I suggest is that you reduce the number of adjectives that you're putting in. Okay, in this sentence alone, I can see diligent, meticulous, rigorous, and then after that, extensive experience, proven track record. So all these adjectives are actually stopping the reader from actually understanding what you do. So what you want to do is you want to emphasize that you want to be a data analyst, and you already have got all these coursework, right? And you also want to start to give yourself some practical experience. You want to show that you have been active on Kaggle and GitHub. And if you don't know what that is, feel free to go and Google it and find out what it is, because that will help you in your case a lot. And then you can say that you have got extensive, okay, instead of saying extensive experience, you want to say that you have experience in managing stakeholders. Okay, so again, stakeholder engagement, communication, and negotiation is very vague. You want to make it more tangible, make it more specific, to say that event management is clear-cut enough. Customer, all these things, you want to say stakeholder engagement. If there is any way that you can make it a bit more specific. So in terms of stakeholders, you may want to say you were working in grassroots. Right? And then communication and negotiation, that's very hard. So you want to say something specific, like you have done dispute management in town council matters, if you're able to bring to that level. Okay, customer service, again, I'm believing that when you say customer service, that is actually supported by your skill areas, where you say exactly which part of customer service you've done. It can be call center management, it can be ticket management, complaint management, dispute resolution. So those are examples under customer service. Okay, and then proven track record. Okay, multiple. Okay, I would say instead of saying proven track record, to say that you have track record of leading, instead of saying leading and delivering, you might want to say either leading or executing 20 community transformation projects over 5 years. Okay, and then you don't have to say that you are a self-motivated collaborator, because you see, this sentence alone is very, very detailed already. Self-motivated, I already have one adjective, then collaborator. Then the second adjective is adept at preparing and presenting findings to key stakeholders. So a better way to summarize it might be that you are a skilled, that's not quite. Okay, skilled presentation, skilled presenter with experience presenting to crowds of above 500, for example. I'm going to ask Lionel for your inputs on this.
No, I'm pretty fine, because what you did was, you see, people, listen, you don't want to say something that doesn't have things to prove. Remember how you put your achievement together with your summary? This is an example of what Eileen gave. Instead of saying that you are doing this or doing that, which is, they don't know what you're doing, you be specific. I do this type of project, and as a result, something happened. So this is the way, this is what we meant, the way to get in the excitement. Because if your career summary talks about your skills that you have and how these skills have resulted in an achievement, it's like a hook. The person wants to learn more, to hear more about you, right? So try, if you realize that when you read your summary and there's no numbers or no hook to attract the attention of the reader, then that's where you need to do some adjustment. And as we said, the best way is to see us so that we can talk to you, talk through it. So those 3 examples that Eileen gives based on all these points that was written is very good, because every time you hear, she'll tell you 500 project, 500 plus people or something. She always add a number to quantify it, to let people know that this skill that you have brings value. Remember her format? What do you do? What kind of value does it bring? So she's adding the values in so that your career summary now looks much better. You bring value to the role that you're applying for.
And I also want to thank whoever is writing in, this public service officer, right? Okay, generally people in public service who are trying to go out into specific roles will find it very hard to justify. So my suggestion is that in public service, you do a lot of really unrelated things. I mean, you do a whole bunch of different things. You do events, you do grassroots, you do transformation, you do data, you do whatever. So try to pick whatever part of your experience, anything that has to do with analysis at all, anything that has to do with data at all, and put it into your summary. Because, when you were preparing and presenting findings to stakeholders, you would have had to do analysis. Yeah, so try, and if you have problems, encourage you to come and see any one of our team. Yeah. Okay, I'm ready to move on to the next person, which is, okay, we're not going to say your name. I'm going to read out. An accomplished sales and marketing professional with over 10 years of extensive experience leading full B2B sales cycle within medical technology, health tech, advertising, beauty, financial industries, driving revenues, growth, and retention. Now, this sentence is powerful, and I think you can do better by omitting the word accomplished, because you have already said that you have got over 10 years of experience, and you can drop the word extensive. Because the very fact that you have led full B2B sales cycle already says that your experience is extensive. and you have led it in so many different industries. So again, that is already a proof of extensive. So for this sentence, you can drop the word accomplished and drop the word extensive. Okay. And then the other paragraph where you say you thrive in fast-paced environment. Now this, I kid you not, this is a sentence we see in at least 5 out of 10 CVs.
Yeah.
Everybody says that they thrive in fast-paced environment. So try to avoid that. It really doesn't help you. What you can say is that because you already have got a track record of full B2B sales, you can say things like, you are the top performing sales, you're the top performing salesperson consistently for the last 5 years. Or you can say you are the second or within the top 10 performers in every industry you have worked in. I'm believing that will be more powerful than you saying that you are highly independent, which if you are a salesperson with over 10 years experience, you are expected to be highly independent. So no need to say that on your CV. You are sales, so you're definitely result focused already. And instead of saying entrepreneurial spirit and strategic direction, these two words is what we call motherhood words, right? It doesn't help your case. So what you want to say is that if as a salesperson, you groomed other salespeople under you, you can say that you groomed, you groom 20 teams or something like that. Okay. And you want to put in real things, especially for sales and marketing professional. Numbers are
numbers.
Yes. Numbers. Okay. So no need to
numbers.
Yeah. So no need to say things like team player and all that, who has the ability to work collaboratively and contribute. Okay, that sentence is not helping you at all, because unless it is proven. So what do we mean by proven, right? There is evidence. If you're a team player, you would have worked in, you would have led or worked in teams over the years. And if you have consistently supported management decision making, those are all quantifiable. So I suggest that you put those in instead of putting in that sentence. I'm hoping this helps.
Yeah, I to add is, because if you're in sales and marketing, it's always numbers, how much, how many, so this is, I think, is to make this more better. You should put some numbers down to show what kind of size of the portfolio that you are holding, right? How much turnover you bring in, or how much margin you bring in, or if you say you work in teams, how big is your team, and things like that would quantify, or if not qualify, what you're saying. I think that is a little bit missing from this summary.
Okay. Okay, I don't know whether this latest question is from you. How should I write in to indicate that you have set up 2 companies previously? So if you are an entrepreneurial person and you've set up 2 companies previously, you can definitely put that into your career summary. You can then say that, you've been an entrepreneur who has set up 2 companies previously, and that itself is already proof that you're entrepreneurial. Yep, okay. And I'm going to move on to the next one. Let me see. Okay, I made a career switch. Training, or I'm keen on exploring part-time. Okay, I think it is Wing Long, right? Keen on exploring part-time opportunities in training to leverage on. Okay, I'm going to make the assumption that whatever part-time lecturing opportunity you are pursuing is relevant to your experience in banking. So you're just saying that, yeah, you're keen on exploring part-time lecturers in 20 years. Okay, I think that is fine. 20 years experience in investment banking and 10 years entrepreneurship. I think that is fine for your career summary. Okay. Experience in entrepreneurship. Okay, I made a mistake in switch roles. Okay, to the person who said you made a mistake to switching roles, finding it difficult to justify, no, it is not difficult to justify at all. As long as you're able to get to an interview, I believe that you will be able to justify it. And the other factor in your case, right, will be the length of time that you took away from this career transition. Okay, your summary is too long. remember, your summary must be a summary of your key skills and your persona. So you want to avoid telling a longer story like, what are your beliefs? Lionel, I'm looking at the chat.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Because you are moving from one and then I'm trying to find out where you are reading.
Sorry,
from.
okay. The chat one came first. So I'm going to, for the benefit of people who are listening to us, I'm just going to read briefly what came in the chat so that we all can so that we all can see what's. Okay, for this person who has made a mistake to switch roles, right? This is how a summary reads. My belief is that whatever job we are in, whatever task we are assigned, it is to bring a solution to the betterment of human life. Now, this sentence, as a professional, I endeavor to understand the needs of the clients and bring solutions from organization to clients through the use of knowledge, skills, and technology. I have found my mission to provide the best of my ability to help each and everyone to find the most desirable solutions to their problems. My vision is to have impacted and contributed to the people whom I touch base with in a positive way, that the small deal I have done is a great impact on them in time and to come to pass, it will benefit. My greatest satisfaction comes from the thank yous I received towards the end of 20 years when my clients see, and so on and so forth. And I still enjoy meeting them after the client relationship ends. Now, this is, okay, this whole paragraph, right? If you notice, for those of you who are not looking at the text because you cannot see the text, but you're listening to me say, read out this particular paragraph, bear in mind, this kind of paragraph should not be used as a career summary, and it should also not be used in your cover letter. Because remember, the person who is reading it is only interested in what he or she can get out of you. So whether it is your career summary or your cover letter, avoid talking about yourself, what you believe, what you want, and what is it about you. So when you look at your, and I hope that you will take this feedback in the right spirit, because I don't mean any offense. I just want you to be able to come up with a good summary that will sell you. So you want to avoid, those of you who are writing cover letters, career summary, remember, avoid talking about yourself. So avoid talking about your beliefs, even if you believe that, for example, I believe that this company that I'm applying for, needs this kind of personnel. Okay, do not put such things into your your communication with them. So if you have done financial consultant, distribution risk, and currently customer management, put it very clearly, very succinctly, that in your last 20 years, you have done X years in this area, financial consultancy, X years in distribution risk, X years in customer management. And you say, and if you have got clients who remain friends, you can say that you have got, a strong network of customer turned friends, numbering in the hundreds after 20 years. And if you have been a financial consultant, your business would have been improved by word of mouth. And you can say that 80% of your your growth in sales was due to word of mouth and direct referrals. That will be evidence that you have got, you've done well. So I'm hoping this is useful for you, and if it's not, let us know and we'll try again. And then, but we'd like to go back to distribution risk. Okay, so you would like to go back to distribution risk, right? Now you get notification. Okay, how the kind of notifications that you are getting is based on what is coming up in your job application. So if you need help to start looking out for distribution risk jobs, come look for us and we will see what we can do. So in terms of distribution risk, if you want to go back to distribution risk, right, which is not the most recent experience within your CV, you want to really emphasize the distribution risk achievements within the career summary. And you want to emphasize your key skills within distribution risk within the career summary as well. So I'm hoping this is useful for you.
Okay, Eileen, sorry, just to let you people out there know, our service is, as long as you're a Singaporean and or a PR, our services is free of charge. So it's not that we are needing business as in we need money, so we keep asking you make an appointment. No. Because sometimes it's easier when you have a one-to-one conversation with us than to do it over this channel. So for certain questions out there, it would be better if we could answer them in when we are talking to you one-to-one. So our service, as long as you are Singaporean and PR, you can make an appointment based on the slide there, the email address, or you can just scan the QR code, right?
Okay, the next question I'm going to answer is from Zion. Looking for a graduate program in finance industry, right? Participate.
I think we lost Eileen. For Zion, just to let you know, there are quite a few programs out there the banks will have for recent graduates. You should just look out for them. Most of the foreign banks, even local banks, will have them. So if you just graduated in 2021, I think you qualify for some of the programs. Okay, just to answer your question, the first part.
Yeah. And for Zion, right, your CV itself will sell. I mean, because you just graduated, your CV will sell itself pretty well already. So you don't have to worry too much about your career summary. And bear in mind, I'd like you to remember this, because yours is an early career, right? You can still do things like, you are passionate about bringing positive impacts and all that. But as you progress in your career, these words are not going to be useful in your CV. So yes, you may include them now, but remember, as you progress in your career, avoid these words altogether eventually. Okay?
Yeah. And that goes also for the earlier thing about career objective. Usually career objective, you're forgiven, so-called forgiven if you are a fresh grad, right? So you're still finding your feet. So you're telling them this is my passion. And if your objective is the same as the objective of the company, that will be good. So yeah.
Okay, we've got a couple more cases to go through, and those of you who are interested, stay to listen. And if you have to leave, feel free to leave. Okay, I'm going to go to the next person, which is in the chat section.
Okay.
This person called TW, whose name starts with TW. Okay, career summary, engineer. Okay. 16 years experience. Okay, for your career summary, I'm going to explain. The rest of the audience can't see this career summary, but I want to share some tips that will help everybody, even if you cannot see what is on our screen right now. So if you're an engineer, your knowledge, okay, your career summary, if you're writing in bullet point forms, every bullet needs to be consistent, which means that you do not want to start off some sentences by saying I am something, and some sentences do not have the I am something. Make it consistent, and because it is your resume, you do not need to say I am something, right? Or my 16 years of experience. Just cut out all the articles, the us and the does, to say engineer, engineer with 16 years experience. Engineer with 16 years experience in Singapore, and then write down all the related areas. So you can say R&D, project management process, and all that, specialties and all that. That's cool. Okay, there's no need to say that you are dedicated and efficient. You just need to say that you are an engineer, 16 years working experience in these fields, which is very specific already, and you are a research engineer. Yes, very good. 9 years experience supporting. Okay, in your case, right, you say you have 9 years experience supporting organizational goals with targeted research design and specialized parameters according to leadership. Now, the front part is very clear. The back part is too vague. You need to make it a lot clearer. Do not say that you are supporting organizational goals, but really say what the goals were. So if you are a research engineer, you want to quantify the kind of, either you can describe the kind of research projects that you have done, or number of projects, or the number of projects that actually resulted in a product being developed. So that's my suggestion.
Well, I mean, as we said, your career summary should also be customized to the role you're applying. So again, depending on what role you're applying, if you're an engineer, you may want to emphasize on those skills we call transferable skills that you will be using in the new role that you are doing. So as what Eileen said, if the new role requires a lot of analysis, then you should just talk about what you're doing, as an engineer, as a research engineer, what are the things that you are analyzing, what are the things that you are researching on, so that it shows that you could just carry this skill over to the new role that you're doing. So yeah.
And to add on, right, under key skills, so again, this is for the benefit of everyone who's listening. Problem solving is not a key skill. Project management is a key skill. Contract negotiations, tender preparation and processing is a key skill. Data analysis, yes, but adaptability, willingness to, the following is not key skills. Adaptability, willingness to learn, and positive attitude. Okay, these are not key skills. And those of you who are listening might wondering now, where are you going to showcase all these attributes? One area that you want to showcase this is in your LinkedIn profile, your personality. These are all attributes of your personality. And those of you who do not already have a LinkedIn profile, you can put it into your LinkedIn profile when you tell that story about yourself. Okay.
And this usually comes out during your interview where you could give context to it to explain that you have these soft skills. The other place that you can put these soft skills will be, after you have already, remember you have 6 seconds. So if in the 2 seconds, if they're interested in your career summary, when you start reading your job experience, yes, you can put some of them in your experience. However, please include quantifiable things or qualifier things, because everybody can say I'm a problem solver. But it's different if you say that I solve a problem that could cause the company bankruptcy, but you save it because you solved the problem. That makes a lot of difference than just putting I'm a problem solver, or I'm very able to adapt. So if you say, oh, I'm adaptable, show them why. So I'm new to the company, I managed to understand the culture and was ready to contribute by adding the sales by 10% within 2 months. Then it makes a lot more, carries more weight about these soft skills that you have, because it's so easy for anybody. As we said, out of 10 resume we see, 8 of them will say this. So how are you going to differentiate between you and the other 7? You need to tell them, look, I have problem-solving skills because I saved the company from bankruptcy, or I have problem-solving skills, I avoid losing a big customer that is worth 10% of the turnover of my company. So you get what we're trying to say. You can add those things in, but add a qualifier or quantifier so that it becomes more impressive.
Yeah, and then for things like willingness to learn, right? It can be something very simple. You can say that within your past job experience, somewhere in the CV, that you picked up 5 new programming languages in 6 months, something like that. Okay. And then to the person who wrote that, finally, thank you for waiting. I hope you're still around. We're going to answer your question about helping your family business. Okay, so helping family business for the past 4 to 5 years, but now wanting to go back to the banks. Auditor 5 years, banks for 8 years. Last role is finance director, focusing on focusing on financial and regulatory reporting. In your career summary, you want to focus on your experience in the banks and in the audit. And you also want to say, because you're helping your family business, you have the liberty to describe your family business in the way that works for you in your application. Right? So the best scenario would be that in your family business, you are doing something related to finance as well. And you then don't have to say, you then don't have to say that you were working in a family business, but you simply put the family business as a legitimate work experience within your CV.
Correct.
And by the way, mid-40s is still young.
Yeah, still young.
Yes. Okay, hope that helps. If not enough, let us know. We'll continue while we're answering other questions. Okay.
I think you have to hop over to the Q&A.
Yeah, so Q&A, we have got one more. Excuse me. Okay, proven track record, exceeding KPIs and overall business unit goal by more than 100%, 150%. Okay, good
You don't need the
to
word
add in.
proven. Yeah, because that 150% already show that it's
Yes.
proven.
Yes, and good to add in the time frame, because I believe that you have got more than 10 years experience. It will have been consistent year-on-year growth. So you can put in more than 150% over how many years, or year-on-year consistently. And I like that you said establish business from ground zero. Okay, instead of saying grew them to scalable heights with a very profitable pipeline and loyal clientele, again, that is very vague.
Here's the number.
You know better, yeah, you know better than us how to put in numbers. Like, what do you mean by a profitable pipeline, and what do you mean by loyal clientele? Loyalty has to be quantified by the number of years, as well as the number of referrals, or that you bring in.
Returning how much?
Yeah. Demonstrated in converting inactive. Okay, so again, converting inactive and languished accounts into growth accounts, you will have numbers. And you can always use, if you don't have specific numbers, you can say that you are the top converter in a team of 5.
Yeah, you can say your conversion rate. 80% of the dead account became alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's always a way to put numbers down if you're in sales. So that's why those people who are in sales, seriously, you cannot give us any excuse that I don't have numbers. You always have numbers.
Yeah. And then, so again, your last bullet point, successfully led, managed, and developed account growth and territory volume. So again, we need numbers. And avoid, when you say led, manage, and develop, right? Led and manage sounds exactly almost the same. So you want to consider collapsing it into just 1 or 2 verbs. So because when you say successfully, that's one adjective I have to interpret. Then led, manage, develop. Then I have to think, okay, what is the difference between leading, managing, and developing?
Yeah. And how much do you grow it? Since you grow it.
Yeah. And what do you mean by territory volume? So again, you want to have a number to describe how it
or something like that. Yeah. I think we managed to answer all the questions. Wow.
Yes, we did. Yeah. So we did. Okay, and I think it is okay. We are past time already. So I hope that everybody has managed to wait. I hope that wait, did we answer everybody's question?
Yes. I went through.
Okay, great. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. In case we were not detailed enough, we didn't answer. As you can see, the email address is there. Write to this email address, or if you have a phone ready, just scan the QR code. It will take you to a place for you to book an appointment to see our team of career advisors, which will be more than happy to help you. Again, I repeat, as long as you are Singaporean or a PR, our service to you is FOC.
Okay, thank you so much, guys, for staying with us. And we are going to be, for those of you who are already on our mailing list, you don't have to whatever, but just to let you know, we do run these webinars very regularly, and we do have one on LinkedIn that's coming up in September, about a month away. So those of you who are new to LinkedIn, feel free to sign up when the publicity is out. Yeah,
that will be the next one coming. Coming to your screen.
Yeah, and I think we've got upcoming events next week as well. One of our dear teammates is running one on the skills framework and how to do, how to use the skills framework to further your career. So we encourage you to look out for, if you haven't already signed up, please sign up for it. So thank you very much, guys, for staying with us.
Thank you very much, guys.
We enjoy everybody a great weekend.
Yeah, we really enjoy it, just as hope that you also enjoy it.